Hello, everybody. Welcome back to another episode of Bagged and Boarded with Pauly. I'm here with a very special guest today, my girlfriend, Lizz. Liz, say hi.
Hi.
And we are here to talk about, actually kick off my new little mini series here on the channel called Marvel's Big Events. Now, what I want to do throughout this series is talk about some of the biggest event stories that Marvel has had to offer over the years. And I felt like there was no better way to start than start with one of the more recent ones that just kind of ended, was Civil War #2. And probably one of the ones that was fairly popular. Many people loved it and some people hated it, but it stirred a lot of controversy, and I think it's very I loved it. I know my girlfriend Liz here, she loved it as well, and we're just going to jump right into it. Now, basically, Civil War 2, the premise involves, I don't want to bore you to death with a story, and I don't want to spoil all too much, but it's impossible to talk about this and give a fair review of it without truly talking about what has gone on. So, as most of you know, Civil War 2 involves two sides, Iron Man and Captain Marvel, which also happens to be my favorite character, Captain Marvel, versus Liz's favorite character, Iron Man. And it's a very, very epic battle between right and wrong, and the story is based around a mutant named Ulysses who can see the future. Well, many people believe he can see the future. He sees these visions where he lives them and truly believes that the future is what he sees. Now, there is some skepticism from Tony Stark saying that some of these visions may not always be true, and Carol Danvers, Captain Marvel, believes that in any of these visions where they believe they can stop a threat, they should go in and stop it. And basically the slogan for Civil War 2 was, change the future or preserve the future. So, overall, it was a big battle. Carol Danvers wanted to save lives, and Tony Stark did not want to risk putting more people in danger that didn't need to. And there were many casualties, big name casualties, A-list Marvel characters. Again, I don't want to spoil who has been taken. If you want, you should definitely go and read this series. It's only 8 books deep, and you can definitely find a trade, a hardcover trade of this series anywhere at your local comic book store. And like I've been saying, always remember to support your local comic book store. We want them to thrive here on the channel. And basically, the story, gosh, I lost my train of thought. The story goes through and through, and pretty much everybody in the Marvel universe is forced to pick a side, and like I said, there are casualties and a big battle of right and wrong. So, getting into it, I want to get Liz's opinion on the entire thing. Liz, how do you feel about this story, and whose side do you take? I know you're a big fan of Iron Man, obviously, but I don't want to put words in your mouth.
Well, of course I pick Iron Man's side because his side is actually right.
Right. Okay. Well, that's based around very factually based. I honestly felt me personally felt that Captain Marvel obviously had the better side, only because it has been told, even by Black Panther, who does play a pivotal role in this series, that and he kind of feels like he's the big brother or the father figure in this series, that basically saying that Captain Marvel has good intentions and that she has saved a lot of lives due to her actions that have been taken. Now, also, there have been some casualties due to her actions, but again, I felt like, she has saved more lives that have been taken. And but overall, other than just taking sides, what do you think about this comic book series? Because when I first met you, you were a big fan of the movies, Marvel movies, but you weren't a huge collector at that point. You hadn't really read very many comic books. You kind of knew what was going on in the movies and whatnot, but you hadn't been a huge comic book reader. And when I first met you, this was actually going on, and I brought you into this, and you got hooked. Me and you got hooked big time, and we're currently still hooked on Secret Empire and other series, which we'll talk about in a little bit. But how do you feel? Did you like this series overall? How did you feel about it?
I mean, yes, I enjoyed it. It's interesting to read something that's not just being portrayed on the movie screens. obviously I'm sure something will come of this storyline in the movies
Definitely.
eventually, but getting a glimpse into it before the movies is always a interesting read. I mean, I did not expect the outcome that happened, but I mean, I don't want to give anything away, obviously.
Yes.
Because you should definitely read it.
You should read this series panel for panel because you honestly never know what's going to happen. Many of these comics, 8 of them, you get to the final panel and you get something different every single time that you're just like, are you kidding me? I have to wait 2 more weeks to find out what's going on. And but yeah, it is gripping, it is shocking, and it's pretty crazy. It's up there with Civil War #1, which we'll talk about at some point here on our miniseries. But I really felt like this was definitely a turning point in the Marvel universe. I feel like this has kind of shaken a lot of our characters and is going to shape the Marvel universe for years to come. And obviously, what's going to happen with Tony Stark and Captain Marvel again? Their relationship very skewed at the moment. We'll see how that goes. But yeah, this is definitely a series we want you to check out. Civil War 2, if you haven't already, all of the issues are out. You can get a variety of variants, and that's what we're going to jump into now. So Lizzie, of all of the variant covers that I have here, I want you to tell me which one do you like the most. I know that this does not include your collection as well, but I kind of just wanted your opinion on which ones you like the best.
I mean, of course, I like the ones where Iron Man is the forefront. But
No doubt.
But I think the one that kind of sums it up the most is this one right here, where it is the split. It shows the two sides. I mean, the two main arguers of the fight, and then everyone that's supports them behind them. Well, obviously not everyone, but the majority of them.
Right, the A-listers, as many people would say. Yeah, I love this one too, and like I said, it kind of just goes to show that how intense this battle has gotten, where it's no longer good versus evil. It's now just superheroes versus superheroes. It's very awkward point in a lot of these superheroes' lives where they were all good friends and now they're they're pinned against each other. It's pretty crazy. I gotta tell you, some of my favorites obviously are going to be the Captain Marvel covers, but I think one of my favorites is definitely this one up here, because this was sort of one of the biggest parts of the one of the biggest campaign ways that they were able to get advertise this comic was basically show it off as an old time, like I guess this is a boxing advertisement, and I thought that these were so rad, giving them nicknames and just making the art look so cool, and highlighting even little stuff in the bottom, even putting the artists and the illustrator and the writer's names there in the presented by section. I thought that this was really cool, and there were a few of them. Lizzie just picked up the other one that I also own, and it's this one as well. This is the #1 San Diego Comic-Con exclusive, and again, it's just really cool. And again, it kind of just, I don't want to say it shines a little light on what's happening, but it's different, and I love different, and I love variant covers that are worth collecting and going out wanting to buy. Another one that I really liked that I kind of got by accident was this one right here, the Collector Corps Civil War II cover, and I really like this one because obviously it has Captain Marvel highlighting the cover, and also Miss Marvel of the same name, Carol Danvers, who actually doesn't even appear in Civil War II because these are the same character. But I'm not going to complain because I find the cover amazing, and I found this at my local comic book store on a free comic book day, which me and Liz also had a blast at, and we made out like fiends, and by that I mean we found a lot of good deals. Sorry for the poor wording. But but yeah, I thought this one was really cool. I believe it was in the Women of Power Collector Corps box, and I just thought it was really cool, and it highlighted a few really awesome characters as well. And you really can't. I gotta tell you, the one thing that this story does not lack its substance. It does make a good point for both sides, and it also tells a great story. And I gotta tell you, if you're coming out of the movie theater and you want to start reading a comic book and you really want to start learning about some of these characters in the movies, this is a pretty good starting point, in my opinion. I mean, you get a good you get a good mix of characters that have been in the movies and some characters that aren't exactly owned by Marvel at the moment. But it definitely gives you a good feel for how their comic book personalities and their movie personalities differ, and how some of them are also the same. And overall, like I said before, I highly recommend this. You can find a hardcover, all eight issues available there, or you can just go hunting on eBay for the variants. All of these can be found fairly cheap. They really made a ton of them, and even the regular covers are amazing. I thought that they were really climactic. They're able to sum up what's going on in the story right then and there. Again, I don't want to spoil much because, again, that's not what we're here to do. We're kind of just here to give our opinion, review it, and give our suggestions, and kind of just give a basis for what's going on. We don't want to give you fact by fact, because what's the point of going out and buying them at that point? So I believe that's probably going to be it for this episode. But before me and Liz go, we want to give you our recommendation for the week. Like I said before, we're going to be doing recommendations. I'm going to try to remember to do recommendations at the end of every video. Hopefully I don't run out of comic books or do any repeats. But the one I will be recommending is Marvel's Champions. Now, this is not the regular cover, but we actually were able to scoop this at our local flea market this morning, actually. And this is a fairly new series. It's based around some of Marvel's younger superheroes, and this is the Collector Corp edition. I thought this was awesome, but Lizzie was so kind to grab me number one, and this is the number one that you will find at your local comic book store. Many of the younger generation of heroes, Miss Marvel, the new Nova, Vision, the totally awesome Hulk, Miles Morales, Spider-Man, and even Cyclops. So it is an awesome book. I believe it's about 7 or 8 issues deep right now. I'm a little behind, but what I've read so far has been awesome. These are great characters. It's a great read. Definitely go out and get these guys. Read about their troubles, their adventures, and all the fun they've been having. Because I've had a lot of fun. Me and Liz have both have had a lot of fun reading this story so far. And I'm gonna try and make these videos as short as possible. I've been consistent at about 12.5 minutes, so I think that's where we're gonna cut it off. And thanks for listening, everybody. I hope you enjoyed, and I hope you guys got a new read that you're going to be diving into. And remember to like, comment, subscribe. I'm trying to be like every other YouTuber on this website, but and follow me on Instagram and Twitter. All that stuff will be in the description below. And me and Liz want to thank you for listening, right?
Thank you.
Thank you, guys. Have a good night.